Hello, my dear friend, and welcome to the Spiritually Engineered Podcast, where we take a deep dive into the human experience from a spiritual perspective. Come on in, and I invite you to stay. I'm going to start this episode off with just asking you a question. And that is to say, do you know how good you got it right now? Now, I want to start to approach this from kind of where I'm at with this. That alludes to that question, For me lately, I feel like I've been in a much better place than I have been before, especially when it comes to my energy and how I've been feeling day in and day out. But lately, there's been some stuff coming up, and I've been tuning in and picking up things in the environment and other souls on the other side that really, let's just say, put a damper on things. Kind of like this weather today. Cloudy and some rain. At least when I'm recording this right now. But what I've been thinking about a lot has just been the importance of keeping that high perspective. Because, being in this world, being in where we are, imagine for yourself, right? I know for me being where I'm at, is so much is going on. And even being in a city, it's got its own territory of things that I have to work through and work with as a spiritually sensitive individual. Not here to complain or anything like that. In fact, the opposite. Just to be more grateful for it. Because something that I remind myself from time to time is that, hey, my life is there for me. And this isn't some type of copium, like kind of trying to pretend or anything like that. It's just from experiences that I've been through, what I've reflected and looked back on, and just to recognize the ways that it's helped me. And like I said, I'm at a much more better place because I've been through some other stuff up until recently. And even then, the stuff that I'm kind of dealing with right now is nothing necessarily new. But for me, what's been super helpful has been just the people that I've been involved with, sharing on social media a bit, kind of expressing, and just sharing and expressing about the simple things in life. Because for me, when I get so caught up in stuff, or if I have something on my mind, well, something that happens with my energy is that I'm really focused, but on something that's so minuscule. Now, I don't know about you, but I'd wager, and I think this is a human nature thing, is that when it comes to the bad, there's this tendency to want to focus on the bad, which is usually the minority, but then it gets zoomed in. It's like for me, my version of that, like when I'm at a balance, is living under a microscope. Now that can show up in the way of worry, but then also it can show up in the way of like any likes or dislikes, specifically the dislikes part. Oh, this, that. Oh, like going back to the whole spiritual sensitivity thing. Sometimes I've gotten thoughts or I felt like complaining, like, man, why am I so spiritually sensitive? Why do I pick up energies from other people so easily? Why am I so empathic? I can start to judge all that. And really, the judgment piece is something that has been a common denominator with a lot of stuff that I find myself in, especially when I'm dealing with troubles and things that I know, and looking back, it's none of my business to be involved in. Meaning, like, the things that I'm thinking about, the things that don't add to me, that don't have that spirit of leadership or inspire me. It's a waste of my time. It's not my business. But how often, thanks to my habits, I start thinking about things or entertaining thoughts that come through. Like think about it for yourself. Any thoughts you pick up that inspire you versus some that just come up like what the hell is that thought? And then maybe you may linger to it. I don't know. But I know for me, if I'm not careful, I'll start to latch on to something, an idea or something that has no basis in the current reality right now. But all this is just energy in the environment, other people. It's part of the game. And that's the important piece right there is remembering that I'm here playing the game of life. However that looks like to you or however you see it, but that's what I come to understand and know so far. And so part of the game now for me, after doing so much work and learning and growing, the game for me now at this point is how can I keep my energy high? How can I keep my energy high? Because for me, I know I have a deeper understanding and perspective of things that really, at some point, all those tendencies and stuff that I did in the past are just like, I recognize how they're excuses. And what I mean in all this is like having a bigger picture, which is what I'm all about. I'm all about, we're all here, this planet that's like a school, learning and growing, all here to evolve and to liberate ourselves from ourselves. A lot of little things like that has shaped my worldview. That really, it's all about the spirit of simplicity, rather than the chaos or the collective things that are just the nuances of life and just all these little details and whatnot that just where I can complicate things, lost in the sauce, if you will. So for me, it's such an important thing to recognize the good that I have, because let me tell you, more times than not, 9 times out of 10, when I've reflected and looked back on something, regardless of what the hell I've been through, there's always a theme coming up again and again. It's like I have this tendency of underestimating. And so couple that with the judgment piece. Oof. Now that sets me up to just really have a shitty perspective on everything and to lose sight of the bigger picture. For me, I've been doing a lot of just recognizing the good that I have, beginning with the simple things. I have shelter. I have food. I have work that fulfills me. Now, I'm aware that not everybody can say the same thing, but I bet you other people can find more things that are going well for them than are not. And I know it because I'm working on this right now. I have that tendency to want to focus on the negative and all this that's going wrong and lose sight of the things that are going well. And then I'll start attracting more of the BS. If I focus my thoughts and attention and my energy on the things that aren't so good or that aren't going well or this, and that, then that's more of what I'm going to get. This is like the law of energy and how it works. Like attracts like. Why it's really important for me to be intentional about my thoughts and what I allow into me and what I give attention to. I remember like this one gal on YouTube, this is phrase she mentioned, like access, allowing, like, and to me, when I'm very more militant about what I allow access to me, particularly with the thoughts and feelings, that is a very important thing. Because another way of looking at it for me, it's boundaries. Boundaries. And boundaries is such an important thing because you take up space, I take up space. Or it's been said another way, and take it with your inner soul. It's like your rights begin where my rights end. My rights begin where your rights end. Where I begin and end, where you begin and end. It's like respecting each other's own space that we take up, not imposing and infringing on, because the law of the universe, a universal law, is freedom. We all have freedom and autonomy. We take up space. The space that you have right now, you're occupying. You rightfully own that space. Don't let anybody tell you otherwise or to even be ashamed for existing. God, that is a terrible thing. No person should ever feel ashamed for existing. They have every single right to take up the space that they do. You have every right to take up the space that you do. And so do I. There's nothing bad about it. It's being one with. So, back to the whole keeping my energy high. Okay, that's really part of the game that I'm at right now. I don't know about you. Because I know better now at this point. And now it's like, okay, how can I refine working with all this? Pin down the facts of like what I'm picking up and what I'm feeling. Because that's something that I've also been taught and I'm working on. Working with tools and techniques and having patience in all this to discern what it is that I'm picking up. Because it's definitely when it's been moments when I clarified certain experiences where I recognize, oh, it wasn't actually me. I was picking this up from that individual. That clarity right there, I found a lot of relief in. And even with that relief, I felt myself lighter. You know, um, so back to the how good do you have it? Do you recognize the good that you've got going on? Looking at it from the simple perspective, because I need to. Otherwise, what other options do I have besides complaining and focusing? Oh, I got this, like all these nasty attitudes that don't need to be there. Now, is it understandable? Yes, I get it. I understand. When it comes to survival, it can get heavy. I get it. But I've already mastered a lot of that stuff uh, as far as that vibration of surviving. Here, I'm all about trying to thrive, not just exist, but to live. And if you're listening to this, I'd wager that that's part of what you're coming to work with as well too, to thrive, not just exist. A lot of things are going well. Another reason why it's important is because your thoughts have power. My thoughts have power. More power than you and I could even recognize at times. Maybe but speaking for myself, more times than I can recognize. And how a simple change, maybe that doesn't have to be profound, but it starts with me. It can start with a thought. And sometimes it can feel like I have to fake it till I make it. You know? And that's only because I'm so used to being so giving in my energy, giving access to me negativity, pessimism. Remember, everybody has a choice. There's always a choice. You can look at the terrible things of life, oh, this, that. Or you can look at the blessings and the beautiful things in life. That is a choice. And you need to choose, in my opinion. I need to choose. I need to choose. Look for the blessings, the silver linings, or just settle for with the stuff that's going on. That's all based on judgments and dislikes and just losing that higher perspective. And it's just blah, blah, blah. That's childish behavior. Yet on the other side of the coin is more childlike. When children look at things with that sense of curiosity and wonder, tune into that feeling for yourself, because you've had that at some point. Maybe there's something recent that you felt in wonder and awe. Tune back into that feeling. And when you've got a solid feeling for that, like I know for myself at times, and why I feel like I'm in a better place, is because I have that feeling becoming more and more solid. Now I can just take that, or just for me, I tune back into that feeling when I find myself getting thrown off. And if you don't know at this point, this is the reality is, because we're spiritually sensitive. As souls with physical bodies, we're spiritually sensitive. Everybody's an empath. It's not exclusive to just X, Y, or Z. Everybody's an empath. And because of that, is an important thing to set that boundary that I mentioned earlier. Have the firm set of boundaries, not just physically, but within as well too. What can you allow more in your mind that inspires you, that inspires your inner leadership? And what are some thoughts that you entertain that you feel like you feel it's time to start letting go? Because then at some point, what needs to happen is I need to have sincerity with myself. When I'm sincere with myself, then I begin to actually start following through. Okay, I'm like, oh, I'm having this thought about comparing myself to somebody else. Oh, I'm having this thought about lack. Oh, I don't have this or that. Oh, I don't have the relationship. Oh, that. Like, as an example, right? Like those little things that could just come in and just start raining my own parade, you know? Something that has helped me a lot, and it's only because I've been through some stuff physically, has been just, I'm grateful for my health. That's been an important thing for me. You know, this health has an interesting way of like in life where it shapes people up, at least from what I observed. But you know, whatever ways that I can tune back into to keep my perspective high and just see all the things that are going right. It's like there was this. I'm trying to remember. There was an actually I was having a conversation with a friend about with someone about like noticing cars or something, like if there's something about like a red car, and all of a sudden starting to notice more red cars around and how more prevalent it is. So it's like that shift in focus. Where if I'm focusing on things that's like very negative, and because it's like so much of it everywhere, then it's like almost like to me it's like a confirmation bias. Like, oh yes, because let's see there, oh see there, oh in the online spine, you see this world it sucks and all this, all to easily justify. But again, all of that is a choice. All of that is a choice. But when I start recognizing the good that's been happening, I'm starting to see things differently. I'm starting to pay attention and notice that things that other people aren't looking at or glossing over. Mostly in part because, like I know for me at times, mine's been occupied. Where's your mind? Where's my mind? What's got you rattled up? What's got you down? And there are times too when there's something that we're hooked on. I know for me, now, it's one thing if it's from the environment. If it's not me and that requires discernment and that's a practice in of itself, that's something that's just be militant and just self-respect. All right, I'm not going to entertain that. But then there's some thoughts that it has something to do with us. Our It could be related to our first 7 years. It could be something there for us. And that's why in those cases we need to be patient, and that's where the inner work, the practice is reflecting and regrouping on what it is, that thing that's like got you so caught up, to look at that. What does that mean to you? How do you relate with it? Because until I get to the bottom of that, then those things that are somewhere rooted within me and my state of consciousness, it will always be there and it's just going to stay buried. But the goal and the key is to let it rise up, bring it up to the surface, to light. Or if not, at times it's like doing the inner work is like peeling the layers of an onion. And the deeper it goes, it's like the waterworks start happening, because it's like finding out a lot of things that are very emotional, things that just trigger and all this. And it's messy and it's smelly, you know. So there's a mixture of those things that it can be the case. Now I can't speak for you. Like, you understand, you know innately what you got going on and what you're working with. And the more I know, for me, I spent time reflecting it. Like, I've been taught tools and techniques to work with my guides, to just get down to like penning down the facts and whatnot. And if you want some resources, you want to tap into that, check out the show notes. But I know for me, it's like I know I have resources available to me to help me get discern into, and in some sense figure out, okay, what's the bottom line of what's going on. But this is also where it's helpful to have friends to offer their feedback as well too. But friends that are respectful and not imposing or trying like, you should do not. No, no, no. A good friend would just offer a suggestion, off, or they would give their perspective of what they would do and if they were in your shoes, type of thing. That to me is a good friend. Like, that would If I'm looking to someone, I'm sharing hope to hear their perspective. It's like that, maintain that respect. Anybody that says should or should not do this, do that, as a friend, I would never tell my other friends what to do. I would just be like, okay, I would suggest what I would do in this situation. I would X, Y, Z, or blank, or fill in the blank. This is I'm just speaking to this for those if you have someone in your life where you have access to people who can help, because not everybody's in the same scenario. But just something to think about, to just broaden your perspective, help you relook at your situation. And I know, and all this to say too, it's also helped me to redefine abundance, because so often than not, abundance has always been so tied to financial abundance, which is a part of it. But it's like, because of the game of survival and how people can really be struggling and just going through, it's understandable why money is like a big deal, and it talks. Money talks, just because the nature of the game here is survival, and money being a huge part of it. But money itself is just energy. It's just energy. And when there's an exchange, it's usually like, money it's exchanged for some sort of value. And for me, I always care about that value being something I can take with me, not physically, but spiritually. And that is to say, spending experiences. Oh, I'm gonna go on this trip and enjoy myself, type of thing. You know. Now let me come back to that question. Do you know how good you got it made? I mean, keep in mind, I'm also at this point kind of rephrasing it in different ways. So the same question that I initially prompted with. But do you recognize the more good things you have going on? Because, like I said, if you haven't thought about it or consider, or maybe it's a challenge to you to to give it a shot or keep at it, whatever the case is for you, because it's worth it. Because when I start to do that, I know when the spiritual ick comes up, when I feel off or something, it's like, all right, I'm feeling this type of way. Let me relax. Let me chill. Like, usually an important thing is like to do something, to take action on something simple. Like for me, I really like to go for a walk, or I might go to the gym. If I can't go for a walk because of the weather, I might just go to the gym and just go on the treadmill and just do something. Or I might listen to another podcast. Some of my friends that they're very spiritual, and I always get a lot out of their sharings. Something to help uplift. Consume something intentional that inspires me, that helps me to lead. I think that's a very important thing. In addition to trying to keep that high perspective. And if I've been a source of that for you, I'm glad to hear that. I have no way of knowing that for sure, but if I have been, I just want to say thank you. And it's been an honor to be that source for you. So I think it's important to just be more intentional about that, of just what I mentioned at some point earlier. What do I allow access to me? Again, not just physically, but within, in my inner world. And the more that I'm working on that and being militant, saying no to the things that's none of my business, that doesn't add to me, to my energy and my day. But say yes to the things that do. Now it's like I find myself at times when I know in reality I'm gonna feel off because something in the environment is gonna come through. I'm noticing, and I'm saying this to give you some hope as well too. I don't know your situation, but perhaps remember these words. I find that the more I'm patient with myself, and I'm gently just moving towards and following my heart, working my intuition, giving myself grace, the less that the ick and all these things have a hold on me. Another way of putting it is like, don't take for granted those experiences where at some point would stress you the hell out, like crazy maybe, I don't know, but stress you out. And now at a place where you're like, doesn't stress me anymore. Take the time to think about that for yourself in your life. If you ever, what experiences that you have where at some point you felt stressful, now it doesn't. That's a very important thing. That's what I want to talk. That's another way of framing it. Like, it's just the confusion is really what the label I would put onto, like, energies in the environment that feel very negative and heavy and pessimistic. It's just confusion, simply put. But is that in particular that's like beginning to have less of a hold on me, and I start to feel and operate more lighter. So that's been my focus. I'm just like, yeah, I've got it made, man. And even if I feel crappy, I'll still, again, I have to tune into that fake it till I make it at times, and that's okay. That's okay, because at least I'm choosing and making a decision about it rather than choosing the BS. The option's right there, but I sure as hell don't want to go there because I've been there plenty enough. I'm ready for something better in my life. So it's like, okay, I got a good thing going. Oh, this is great, man. I'm so thankful for this. And that itself has been able to help me shift my energy in a way that's very significant, mind you. Again, I'm speaking for myself here on all this for this episode, but it goes a long way. And I know when I'm tuning into gratitude, it's almost like I start to notice more abundance in my life, and more abundance in the form of different, in the form of people, like beyond just money starts to move in. Support. I mean, don't even get me started on just our spirit guides, our spiritual helpers. You listening to this, you got support. You're not in your ventures alone. I can assure you that. It's just for me, I've just done a lot of work, and just in working with spirit guides and working with people with a bigger picture. It gets to a point where it's just, you may understand this or you may not, but if you don't, I hope you do one day. It's like, I know too much. And I'm not saying this to be egotistical, none of that sorts. Because when it comes to understanding the game of life on planet Earth, it's simple. It's simple. Yes, there are nuances in all these spectrum of experiences, but it doesn't take away from the simple framework that this system was meant to be for us souls having a spirit, us spirits having a human journey, if you will. That a bigger picture. And that was the thing that got me into this spiritual work that I'm in right now, because I've always felt like there was a bigger picture to life that I was being told. I'm like, I wasn't getting it from my Catholic faith. I wasn't getting it from the people I grew up. Maybe I might have gotten bits and pieces, but it was still like something was missing. And if you're someone that cares about the bigger picture, tune into some of the resources I have available in the show notes here. Check them out. That's why I put them there. Especially like the Discover series, the Reawaken videos. They're free video series that just talk about the simple aspects of life, looking at it from the simple framework, because that needs to be a solid basis, at least for me, and that's what I operate out of. Those are like I consider them my principles, my core values that I operate out of. It's my why behind everything, why I get up out of bed. Do you have a why you get out of bed type of thing? Like, what gets you out of bed? And if you don't have something, I suggest you find something. Something that makes you, just want to jump out for joy. Like, oh man, I'm looking forward to this or that. Whatever it is, find it. Because the more you can have that spirit of freshness, like think about your childlike part, the spirit of adventure and curiosity and exploring, man, you'll be ahead of the game. You'll be way ahead of the game there, or at least playing the game, rising above it, to put it a different way. Just because routines, rhythms, routines, we all got to move through it. We're all faced with life, whether you like it or not, whether I like it or not. And that's getting down to like the big, all this to say here at this point of the episode as well. We're faced with life. So it's like I have to ask myself, what am I going to do about it? What am I going to do about it? That's a very important question to ask. And that as long as you remember that you still have choice and you feel that within yourself, there's always that choice, no matter what. Choose higher. because I've been shown a lot of what's possible. And that's why I'm sharing what I'm sharing with you right now with confidence. Even when I've been feeling a little bit off lately. I get it. I know. But it doesn't take away from that fact of just having been, you know what I mean? Like when that focus is expanded. And that's why I care about when I share part of my intention for you listening. I want to help you broaden your perspective, because unless I do that for myself, how can I ever see beyond that? If I'm so used to being in the gutters, being in the trenches, but I've definitely have taken the steps where like I've climbed up a tree to see a higher perspective, and just how much more peace and how really simple things and how life can be. You know, rising above the emotional stuff, the turmoil, all this stuff. Again, all this is part of the game. I'm going to default back to that. Playing the game. Playing the game. That's how I see it. That's how I show up. It's worked for me, and I see no other way, you know? So take some time to just think about that. What are some ways that things are going well for you? Make a list of it. Journal it. Because I bet you can find more good things going for you than there are the bad. I bet you. And if you can't seem to find it, have patience and just keep searching. Like, you don't even have to look far, to be honest. You know, it's just the habits, you know. It takes more energy to frown than it does to smile. Why is that? And that just speaks a lot to just universal truth about us being light, childlike, joyful beings. More, but instead, I know for me, I've just been conditioned and taught to feel, dis-ease, or to just try and all this stuff, and it's just complicated. Working with our intellectual nature, because that's the source of where I know for me it's been a lot of issues. Overthinking, thinking in my head. But instead, just be here now and just start to, I think at some point it's like, how can you, make a decision, on what you want to move forward with. What are some things? Okay, I'm just throwing questions at this point here. What are some things that you can focus on that need your attention, that has been like bringing you back in, that's been hooking you again and again and again, and it makes you feel some type of way? Because there are some things, sure enough, that have to be addressed within yourself. And then some stuff that's just like, oh, what's that thought? Oh, comparison? Oh, this? Bye. Nope. Got time for that. I don't have time for that. My time is too precious. And especially being at the age of 34 right now, time is becoming, I don't know where you at, but as I get older, time becomes more and more precious. More and more precious. Because I don't get that back. I don't get that refunded. Or if you figure that out, you let me know. Send me a message or something. Or email me below. But in any case, yeah, just you. So I'm going to end it off with saying that you've got a lot of beautiful, awesome things going on. And I think it's the more you tune into that and you work with all that and embrace all that, the more awesome things move into your life. I know this and I've experienced this, and I tune into this feeling now as I'm moving forward. I've got a good thing going, and I ain't going to let no confusion keep me down, because I know better. You know better. And we're capable, you and I. And so, if you made it to this point in the episode, I appreciate it for your time. Thank you so much. Hope you got something out of it. Take what resonates and leave what doesn't. And work with that. At least what does work, what does resonate. So, it's what it's all about when I share. And so, this has been another episode of the Spiritual Engineer Podcast. I'm your host, Alvin Cepeda, signing out. And as always, take care, my dear friend.